Hello everyone. These next set of videos are going to be going over how to create a moving background to give the implication that Sally is walking in a space. I have some references already that we will use, that we'll be pulling out from the G-Share, and they're broken up into layers to give the impression that Sally is traversing mock three-dimensional space. But before we go that far, something that I want to discuss a little bit, and this is probably some good information regardless of any type of video you are making, and that is TitleSafe and ActionSafe. And the web has a definition for TitleSafe, and it's simply a safe area that is used in television production to describe the areas of the television picture that can be seen on television screens. And basically what that means is that there are two zones, and they are safe zones in your production that the TV scene sees, that is standardized. And really what that refers to is this space here on your stage. Now, if you happen to have your character, Sally right here, too close to the edge, a portion of Sally will be cropped whenever exported into a video. So it's good to know what our TitleSafe and ActionSafe areas are before we actually begin animating and making things move in a permanent position on our screen. So let's prep this document to create an ActionSafe and a TitleSafe. First, I have some unnecessary things in my library. I'm going to clean them up, and just to reassess, our library should have a pretty minimal amount of stuff in it right now. We should have their character folder, and within our character folder we should have our two movie clips, BD and HD, for body and head. Those are our movie clip symbols, and embedded in those symbols are our body parts, and all of our body parts are in a folder, and all of our body parts are graphic symbols. We should have a reference folder, and in that reference we should have the movie clip of the drawing of Sally and the JPEG of the drawing of Sally, and also a reference folder with the 3 walking references that I have asked you to pull in. So while it looks like a lot, since we are so organized and professional, this is what it looks like. One thing to also keep in mind, now that this character is set up to walk, and I can show you an example of the walk cycle, we'll need to create a new save, and this one is, we'll call it Sally Walk Background. So call it Save As, which was Command Shift S or Control Shift F if you're using a PC. And then this one I will call, instead of Walk Cycle, I will say Background, as we prep for the next portion of this. And I'm going to pick a place to save it. I'm going to go to Document, I'm going to find my flash, and it doesn't matter where you decide to save it. This is just where I'll be saving this. So wherever you can save it and pick it up later. Okay, so let's get into TitleSafe. I should have only one layer in this, and that's Sally, so I'll go ahead and label that. And lock it. Now I'm going to put a new layer on top, and I'm going to title this one title / action. And that's just going to be a reference for me to know that that's going to be my title and action safe layer. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I'm going to zoom in a little bit so I can see the whole stage, and I'm going to make a rectangle. Now this rectangle doesn't need a fill, so I'll go over to properties and click no fill. So all I have is a stroke, and again I will adjust this stroke to hairline because I don't want it to be really an imposing stroke. And I'm going to create a rectangle that is as close as I can get it to the edges exactly of my screen. Since my stage right now is kind of a gray and hard to distinguish from the pasteboard, I'm going to go over to the properties of the stage and pick something that's a little bit more contrasty. Not super dark, just contrasty enough to see the edge. And again, with my title action layer selected, I'm going to go to my free transform tool, find my handle, and make sure my rectangle is right along the edge of my stage. This is going to be the first step in creating an action and TitleSafe guide. Again, this guide is going to be used to know where it is safe to place our character and text. Okay, so far, right on. Okay, so now I'm going to switch my tool to the selection tool, or hotkey V, and I'm going to select the whole rectangle that I just made and come over to my transform panel. When we first set up this workspace, I had you put the align, info, and transform panel under your color and swatches panel. So you may need to double click them to access them. If you don't have it, you might have to open it up through window. So if I come up here to my file toolbar up top and go to window, I can come down here to the bottom here and click transform, and it will open up a panel for transform options. Now for action safe guide is 10% smaller than your actual stage. So if our stage is 720 by 480, this action safe guide has to be 10% smaller than that. And instead of having to do a lot of math, we can come over here to our transform panel. Again, make sure that your constraint is on. One thing you can tell, if it is on, it will form this chain. So there's this icon right next to the 100% scale height and scale width, and there's this chain icon. Default, I believe it is on. If it's not, you may have to click it. So if it's not enabled, it'll look like a broken chain link. If it is enabled, it'll look like a connected chain link. And constrained means that if I change one of these, it's going to retroactively change the other height or width. So I'm going to, instead of make this 100, I'm going to say 90 and click enter. Now that is 10% smaller than my initial stage. And this is action safe. But I'm not done yet, so I need to make another one. So what I can do here is, while it's still selected, I can copy it by doing Command C or Control C, And temporarily, I'm going to create a new layer right above it, and I'm going to paste in place. So to do that, it's either Shift Command V if you're using a Mac, or Shift Control V if you're using a PC. So in a new layer right above Title Action, I'm going to paste in place and did it work? Okay, so it didn't work. I'm going to have to come back here again, copy it using Command C or Command V or Control C if you're using a PC, and then Shift Command V or Control Shift V if you're using a PC. And this time I need it to be another 10% smaller. If we were making this guide off of the original rectangle we made, we'd want it to 80% instead of 90%. But since we've copied and pasted and we're reusing it, I'm going to come over here and change it to another 90%. So it should look like that. Now I'm going to cut it using Control X on the PC or Command X on the Mac, and come back to the original layer for Title Action, and I'm going to paste it in place. Either Command Shift V or Control Shift V. This is now the guides for your Action and TitleSafe. And here's the difference. Action Safe is the larger one, meaning that all actions that are pertinent to be captured within your video to tell the story need to happen within this guide right here. We can change the color just to be safe. Change it to, well, we definitely want it to be contrast to this, so make it a green, and a dark green at that. And this guide is your TitleSafe, meaning that any wording, text, titles, what have you, shall be within this area. This is the safest for that. So again, I will change the color of this and make it a lighter green. And just so I can see those, I'm going to go back to my stage and make that a little bit lighter. And well, that's good enough. And you can fiddle with these colors or not color them at all. It's completely up to you. But that is how you make your title and action safe guides. Alright, so with these guides made, in the next video we will start bringing in elements for the moving background.